Last week, I decided to enter the GMTK Gamejam, and the theme for this year, loop. I've never entered a game jam before, and from what I've heard, the GMTK Gamejams are the biggest of the year. In fact, this year, there were over 9,000 entries. So, I haven't got much time to come up with an idea, because the timeline for this game jam is about 4 days. My game needs to incorporate a loop of some kind, and I've got a feeling a lot of games are going to include a game loop as their mechanic. So I want my game loop to really stand out. And one of my most favorite kinds of genre are the incremental game genre. Incremental games are laid back, non-complicated time wasters that generally have the goal of buying as many upgrades as possible and becoming stronger and stronger as the game goes on. That means more points and more numbers. Oddly, there even seems to be an entire subgenre of games inspired by the design of Nodebuster, being called Nodebustery or Nodebuster-like. And I want my game to be inspired by Nodebuster 2, the upgrade tree and the game screen where you collect the required resources in order to upgrade. And since I recorded this afterwards, Nodebuster-likes also use an auto-click mechanic with a cursor range, and they also have some sort of time limit when in the game screen. I made the mistake of not adding either of these into my game. So my game's going to be a clicker/incremental. Okay, so how will I execute this? Well, I'm glad you didn't ask, because I had this idea that you load loops. I was really ecstatic when I came up with this idea. I thought it was kind of genius. But you'll see later whether that turns out to be true. Anyways, here's some of the unscripted audio and recordings of myself during the jam. The theme of this year's game jam is loop. What kind of a game will I make that incorporates a loop? So this got me thinking, what kind of a game would I make that incorporates a loop properly? It doesn't have to be perfect the way my game will incorporate a loop, but some kind of thing in the game has to be a loop. Some kind of thing in the game has to be a loop. That's the rules. And yeah, I can make a platformer where you run around and die and then you repeat over and over again, or maybe you run around in some kind of puzzle where there's puzzle loops. Or maybe it's physical. Maybe it's a physical simulation kind of game where you drag and drop loops around. But I don't want to make any of those kind of games. I want to make an incremental game. Specifically, an incremental game inspired by Nodebuster. Nodebuster is an incremental game that is focused on upgrading yourself with the nodes that you bust in this other zone that you click to. It's a little bit complicated. I can't exactly explain it, but it's different. It's special. And I wanted to make, and I've never made an incremental game before. And I've never made a proper incremental game before. So this year, for this game jam, I want to make a proper incremental game that's inspired by Nodebuster in just 3 days. So, what kind of a game am I going to make that's an incremental game, that's fun, that's well designed, and how am I going to make it in 3 days? That's not a lot of time. So what is my idea? My idea, and I don't know how good of an idea it is yet, or how properly I might be able to execute it, but I want to make a game loop. The game loop of the game be incremental. That's why I want to make an incremental game, because incremental games inherently loop. You're constantly upgrading yourself, and then battling and upgrading yourself, and then going to the zone and upgrading yourself repeatedly in a constant loop. But not only that, my game will be about loading bars. You know those loading loops that show up on your screens? They loop around in a circle, kind of like a snake. My game will be all about that. But that tiny little spinning snake becomes crazier and crazier as the game goes on. At least that's the idea. So essentially, all I want for my game jam is just a repeating game with an upgrade tree that you upgrade your upgrade tree through watching a spinning loading bar finish over and over, with maybe adding prestige mechanic. I'm not sure if I can add a prestige mechanic, but if I can squeeze in a prestige mechanic, that would be wonderful. I'd also like to include some kind of randomness to the game as well, because if the players are playing the game over and over repeatedly, then they'll get bored. Repeatedly reusing the same things over and over, it would get boring. It would get boring. So I want to add a little bit of kind of roguelike elements to it. Not really roguelike, just random elements that every time you prestige or every time you go back, every experience you have with the game is slightly different. Only slightly though, only slightly, not too much. I don't want to I don't want to end up creating strange broken scenarios where somebody ends up being unable to buy anything because of just randomness. Anyways, that's my idea for the game. Let's see what I can do with it for the first day. So as you can see here, I've made this upgrade tree for the very beginning of the game. It has these. You start off with the white loops node. Uh, when I'm done polishing it, you'll have to click this first and then click to this loading screen. But as you can see here, you've got upgrades that you'll progressively unlock, and the more upgrades you buy, the more you see. And like if I see, for example, if I bought this, it would give me +1 white loops per main loop, per main loop. So if I bought this, I gain plus extra points. But let me just show you. I click loading here. See, it's loading. And watch. Plus points. I earned one ring. One right ring. Now I get to buy more loops that give me extra points. And now every time I click this, every time it finishes loading, I get extra. Now I earned 2. Oh, but oh no, I don't have enough to buy it. I have to earn more to buy more. And this is the cycle of the game. It gets much more complicated. It gets much more complicated than this. But this is just the first day. And I think I achieved quite a lot on the first day. I'm not completely sure. Still, this is my first game jam. But this is pretty fun. So far. I might have a little bit of trouble in the future. I might have a little bit of trouble in the future making the game interesting. I don't know if this middle loading bar could get any more like what I'm thinking of. What I'm thinking of is I need to add the wow moment to my game, a wow factor to my game. That at some point the player buys an upgrade that just completely changes the game. That instead of adding +4 white loops per main loop, the player buys something, yellow loops, buys something that just changes this loading screen to not be a loading screen anymore. It changes it to be just crazy. It blows your mind or something. That is my end goal for the game, is to have the player reach a point like this. But as you can clearly see here, I think I've got my loop. I think I've got the loops. Okay, I'm gonna get started on day 2 of the GMTK Game Jam, making my loading loop game. And we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to accomplish a whole bunch today. So, this is how much I got done since yesterday and today. I didn't really record a whole bunch of the development of it because I forgot. But this is the progress that I've made so far. So, I did a little bit of polishing. Oh, right. I started myself out with infinite resources. So, it'll be easier. I'm just gonna click just to make this go by quicker. I'm getting there. As you can see, there's a few connections that I have to finish. And also, this is special. This unlocks the infinity tree. If I can get enough white points, I'll show you. In fact, actually, I'll spend this. And I added a clicking mechanic. So you can click the loop now to increase the progress of the bar. And I also added these orbital things. I mean orbital loops. Eventually there will be an orange loop that you can get too. Oh, hey there. Yeah, I cut back to when I had produced enough points. So now we can buy this upgrade tree, and I'll show you what it does. Now I unlocked the infinity tree. Ooh. And now this is the main game loop. The final game loop is that you can go here and buy the cool upgrades. And reset. Oh, it's glitched. It resets the game. This is the main node is supposed to show up here. And it was working all the other times I tried it. But for this one instance, I don't know. It didn't want to work. Anyways, you get the idea. You get the idea. My goal for today is to do the sound design of my game. I want the sound design to really fit with the game, make it feel good, make it feel clicky. I'm also going to add a song to the game. It's a song that I made previously for a different game, but it just fits perfectly with this game, so I'm thinking of adding it. And lastly, I also want to add all kinds of upgrades to the upgrade tree and just really flesh it out. Make it feel good, and make it feel like it's more of a complete game. So this is the final day of my game on the GMTK Game Jam. And for today, all I want to do is just finish up the upgrade tree, add the orange loops, add the walls to the game. There's going to be a yellow wall and a blue wall and an orange wall, and really just complete the loop of the game. It's almost done, really, so I'm not going to add any more extra mechanics because I need to get this done by tonight. So really, all for today is just adding the final layers, the final extra stuff. So all that's really important for today is just to add the final things to the game, just to get it done. And all that's really important for today is just to add the final things, the final touches, just to get the game done. So yeah, here we go. So, now I've just published my game for the GMTK Gamejam. Sweet. And only just 9 hours before the deadline ends. Oh gosh, is that the boot screen of the game? Let's change that a bit. Yeah, that's better. Huh? Oh no. Wait, my game's bugged? And I only have 1 hour left to try and fix it? So yeah, when I published the changed version of the build, the game broke, and I couldn't seem to fix it. It's something that has to do with the web version too, because the same bugs that show up in the game don't show up in the Godot editor. So yeah, now I have to bear through the pain of everyone thinking the intense amount of lag and huge number amounts is normal. There was even a case of someone sock-laughing themselves. Isn't that just wonderful? I spent 30 hours making my game to try and be as perfect as possible. And when the moment came to it, my inexperience got the best of me. How was I supposed to know my game would break for seemingly no reason? So, I really hope that despite my game being broken, I might make it to top 1000 in the jam, but probably not. There are a lot of other great games that were submitted that were way better than mine. And what's even better was that they weren't broken. So as of now, the ratings are still ongoing. I'll post what rating Looploader gets down in the description when the jam ends. But yeah, I did learn a bunch from this, I guess. I even went slightly insane with how many loops I had to bear. Listening to the music repeat over and over and over again. I swear, I heard the Somnia theme, even when I wasn't programming. I even heard it in my sleep. Same goes for the loops too. This game, it just kind of broke me. But I'm okay now. Just a little traumatized. In the end though, what really breaks me is because Looploader is a nice game, but everyone played the wrong experience I set out to create. And they thought it was normal. But I guess some people still loved it despite its obvious flaws? I honestly don't understand. Why? It's broken. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'm sorry for getting all emotional here in the end. See ya.